Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal, where as you can see, I'm joined as always by James Benge for this week's Inside Arsenal Extra Time, the last Inside Arsenal Extra Time of the season. Can you believe that? How you doing, James? You all right?
No.
No?
Been
What's
a
up?
long old season, hasn't it? I don't want to talk about football right now. I don't want after Tuesday. I didn't get home till 1:00 on Tuesday night. I don't want to talk about the football.
Right. Okay, that's going to be a short podcast.
Okay. We'll let everyone else do the football talking for us.
Okay. You know what? You know how I'm feeling today?
How are you feeling?
I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And I'm not hurting because of what happened on Tuesday night. I'm hurting physically today. I
Oh.
went swimming yesterday.
Whoa.
First time in a long time that I've been swimming. It's the start of my fitness prep for the summer to
You
get
say it's great.
the body's a temple and all that. And I've got to get myself into lifeguard physique for when I go to Portugal in the summer. So I thought I'd go swimming. I did 750 meters, 30 lengths of my 25-meter course at my gym, and you would not believe the pain that I'm in this morning from swimming. I got out of bed, and when you just think, oh my god, what even muscle is that is hurting in my body? All right, it's pretty much every single muscle in my body. I'm genuinely like limping down the stairs, and every time I stretch, it hurts. Swimming is not good for you. It's terrible.
Stick to the golf, buddy. Stick to the golf.
It is exactly. That's what I think I'm going to do that for now. I'm going to stick to the golf. I wouldn't even be able to play golf now. Like, there's zero chance I'll be able to swing a golf club. Genuinely, right now, it's going to take me a couple of days to get over this. So you'll probably see me on Sunday limping gingerly towards the
Onto
Emirates
the
Stadium.
pitch.
Yeah, I'm going to have a few pre-match beers to lessen the pain. I think on Sunday, which is the plan anyway. To be honest,
In every way.
Right, so
you need to lessen that pain.
it's been a busy week, obviously football-wise. It's been a potentially seismic week, I suppose, in terms of the title race. But we're going to talk about that later on in the show. I thought today we'll flip things on its head a little bit and we'll answer questions to start with. Because I'm sure everyone watching and listening to this is a little bit stressed out about what's to come this weekend and feeling probably a little bit down after what happened on Tuesday night. You were there. We'll talk about that later on in the show. And we will look ahead to Sunday and what's to come. But I thought just to give everyone a little bit of a break from the start. Anyway, we'll take some questions because I did a show this morning. I put it out and I basically said to everyone, look, I've got about an hour from this going out to myself and James sitting down to record because we're recording early today. So get your questions in early if you want to be included. And honestly, so many have already come in. So I thought, I'll tell you what, we're going to start the show with, it is a look towards the summer really, because as always, lots of the questions are about transfers and stuff like that. But I just thought it'd be a little bit more fun than talking about Sunday straight away. So we'll go into it and we'll start here with Joshua. He says, hi, Charles and James. Love the show. Just wondering what you think about the links with players on the younger side, Sesko, Neves, Hato. I think given where we are now, we need to be recruiting players in their prime who can make a difference. Isak, Bruno, for example. So I thought that was an interesting one to get started with. Obviously, Sam yesterday put out a story on the Telegraph about Arsenal's interest in Sesko, that other clubs who are talking to Sesko now believe that Arsenal are in pole position for him. We've seen the links with João Neves. I spoke about João Neves actually earlier on in my show this morning, my understanding on what that situation is in terms of Benfica's point of view. But so what do you make of it then in terms of the summer and how we improve the squad that is already in place? And do you think the kind of, I suppose, the recent model that Arsenal have done with the younger signings, the sort of 20 to 23 type signings, do you think that potentially needs to change to now bridge what is a smaller gap, but still potentially a gap between Arsenal and Manchester City?
I really like Josh's question there because I haven't really seen it put quite so starkly in those terms. My challenge back to it would be, I think if you said to Arsenal, don't worry about the money, what sort of player do you want? On the list, Mikel Arteta would have Isak. We know they're really big admirers of Bruno Guimaraes as well. And I don't think they would be looking at matching £100 million release clause. But that's the thing you've got to consider, whether it's Isak, Bruno, even some players on the continent that are more at the 24, 25 age range. Mm-hmm. The price tag on them is just more significant. And it's quite it's quite a sort of fine line to thread, isn't it, between getting in the strengthening the squad, not tying your hands for long term in terms of, like frankly, I'll give an example, like a Nicolas Pepe, who was on the younger side, but you've committed big money, big wages to him. Like, if you look at these sort of players on the younger side with a release clause or a fee that's affordable, it just gives you more wiggle room, and you sort of want to strengthen the squad without tying yourself into it. And also, you can only, I think there are, my understanding is there are 5 positions Arsenal will look to strengthen. The backup goalkeeper, another defender, a midfielder, a winger, and a striker. But I think they would acknowledge they can't do all of them and give Arsenal fans top quality experience signings, at the 50, 60 million pound price range, can they? So in some of those spots, you have to sort of take a gamble on younger talent, take a gamble at a lower price range. And I mean, I think guys like Sesko, Hato, probably a shrewder gambles than just picking someone up at 25, 26. It's a bit cheaper, a bit more affordable. But I don't know. What do you reckon? I know I sort of waffled that one a bit, but hopefully that answers it.
I think there's definitely room for how am I going to say? I think Arsenal probably are going to approach the window with the view of, right, we're going to get maybe one guy who's going to come in and hit the ground running. Basically your Declan Rice type signing this summer, and I wouldn't be surprised again if that is a midfield type sign. It is someone in the mold of Bruno. I don't necessarily think it will be Bruno, but someone like that who might come in, and then the rest of the signings will be your classic Arsenal profile that we've seen. So your Seskos, your Hatos. I'm not sure about Neves. Like I spoke about Neves today. I think certainly from what I've heard from people that I know who are around Benfica, they are absolutely adamant that it is going to be release clause or nothing for him. And that release clause, you're talking £100 million for a 19-year-old midfielder. I just do not see a way that Arsenal do that this summer, but you never know. But, someone like Sesko, I think you've seen more of Sesko than I have, but he clearly looks like a talented player. I think the what we've seen from Kai Havertz this season as well, kind of, I can see why Arsenal might be thinking, what, we probably don't need to go for all out for an Isak when we've got Havertz doing what he's doing. I wish they would, but I think they probably won't. I think they'll look at Sesko. Also, I suppose, look, Sesko, I mean, Isak was like 22 when Newcastle brought him over. He's only 24 now. He's still young, and he's developed very, very quickly into this player that we all now want for 120 million. So, there's no, obviously you can't say for sure, but you can spend 50 odd million on Sesko now, who's, I think is he 20, 21? And in a couple of years,
well,
he could
should say the release clause has, my understanding is the release clause has now gone up to 65 million euros. And I think
saw something about that.
Leipzig. So that's reporting. My suspicion, though, is that Leipzig would not be too keen to do a deal that's much less than the release clause. So you're talking 65 million, which is still not a lot nowadays
in modern football. It's not a huge amount, no. So I don't think Arsenal should move away from the model that has brought them to where they are right now. So I do like the targeting players in that age range, that it is more sort of potential than ready-made superstars. But I think there's definitely room to at least add at least one, player who's going to come in, and you're as confident as you can be that they're immediately going to improve the team. And I think they probably will do that with at least one of the summer signings this summer. So thank you very much for your question there, Joshua. We'll move on to now Jamzuna, who's hi, Charles and James. What signing and position do you think would take us to the next level, e.g. CM De Jong, or do you think we need a few to take us up another levels? How do you? I mean, it's the question that they must be asking themselves this summer, because they've built this fantastic team, fantastic squad, and it is a strong squad, even though Mikel hasn't used it maybe to as much as we all wanted. But it is a strong squad when you look at the bench when everyone's fit. So they must be looking at things like, how do we get beyond Man City? We've been so good this season, and it still looks like we're going to fall a little bit short. How do we get now beyond them? So they must be asking that themselves in the summer. If you were going to pick one position that you think really does take the team to another level,
I think Jamzoon has probably picked the right answer. And I think I said last week, didn't I? I was saying Frankie de Jong is the dream signing.
Yeah.
And it may well be a dream that you can make happen. I don't know the latest on Barcelona's finances, but I know they won't have changed much over the last 2 years. The other spot, as fantastic as Gabriel Martinelli is, and as much as I think he will come back next season and be much better in terms of output than he's been this season, I think if you're looking at sort of turning yourselves into the best team in Europe, getting the genuine superstar wide forward, the two names that spring to mind are Leao and Kvaratskhelia. Again, both huge investments and would be hard deals to do. And they're not particularly ones that, as far as I'm aware, are ones Arsenal are working on. But again, I think if you're saying what puts Arsenal over the top, and if maybe you're taking the view of like less business than I outlined earlier, but business that changes the 11 radically, I think it's those two positions. And I don't really think you could do both easily. But yeah, and I the last few weeks I've sort of been shading towards, is there an upgrade to be done at left midfield, left wing? But you do then leave yourself light centrally. Which of those two would you do?
I think it'd be a striker, to be honest. Out of either of those two, I don't know actually. Maybe it'd be maybe a midfielder. I'm not sure. I'm still very, very confident that we'll see a much better Gabriel Martinelli next season. I just think his confidence has been hit. I think the injuries have disrupted him a little bit this season, but I'm very confident we'll see a very strong Gabriel Martinelli. And if not, I just think Leandro Trossard's a fantastic player anyway. I still think striker, and I love what Kai Havertz is doing in that position and what he brings to the team. But I still think if you're talking about Arsenal going to another level, the next level, I think if you add a top, I just think if you add Alexander Isak to this Arsenal team and he stays fit next season, Arsenal win the league. I really, really do. So for me,
if we can get these YouTube views up, are you willing to, if we can get, £100 million worth of YouTube views out of this, if we can go Mr. Beast on this, will you commit to giving that money to Arsenal to sign Alexander Isak?
To sign Alexander Isak, I'll just dump it on the doorstep, addressed to Edu, like Mr. Beast style, with just an open suitcase with 100
Why does he not do that?
I honestly think that's what Arsenal need to take them to another level. I think they've still, I'm like I said, I'm confident in Martinelli and Trossard. I wouldn't say no to another left winger. Midfield I think that is a genuine area that probably needs to be addressed in terms of who you have long term. If you're not going to play Rice as a 6 and you're going to keep him as an 8, then I think you probably need to, as much as I think Partey and Jorginho are good players, you look at their ages, it's pretty clear that does need addressing. But I still think probably striker. I think so. In order, I'd say striker, midfielder, left winger in terms of what takes Arsenal to the next level.
Flip them for me.
Oh, is this? Look at this. He's got. Oh no, it's I thought it was the same person. No, it's just one.
Oh no, it'd be brazen.
Very interested to know who Charles and James would choose if they had to choose between one Elise, Kudus, and Xavi Simons. You can take that one first.
Oh, that's fun. That one, isn't it? So I'm going to discount Xavi Simons. I think he might be the best talent, but I think it's more high risk buying outside the league. Just is. I don't think it is. It is. Elise and Kudus. It'd be fun. It'd be very fun to be in that position. I think the thing with Elise, who I love, I actually have him. We're doing a little work project. I don't want to give away too much more, but I have him slightly higher in sort of pure talent rankings than Kudus personally. But I think this Arsenal team would get more out of Kudus. I think he's more of a natural, say, left 8 in games where Arsenal are going to go on the offensive. Can play right. He could fill in for Ødegaard when needed. I've not seen him play on the left, but I don't see why that would be beyond him. I'm sure it wouldn't be beyond Elise either. But yeah, just on pure squad need rather than talent, I'm team Kudus there. I'm voting for Kudus. There's a little Simpsons.
I think I agree. I don't know if I could guarantee that Elise would be fit for the entire season and not have 2, 3, 4 injuries that kept him out for sort of a month at a time. I might well go to it. I think Elise, the talent that he's got is unbelievable. But I just think Kudus, I really do like Kudus. I think he's a really good player. And I think, like you said, that versatility in terms of the amount of positions he could potentially play. I think
Can
so.
I ask you a question?
I do like Xavi Simons as well, though. I think he's a
Mm.
real talent. But I agree. I think he'd probably be third on that list for me, just because I know that Elise Kudus can absolutely do it in the Premier League. I have no doubts that Simons could as well. But
I know.
yeah.
By the way, I know we're not inside Crystal Palace. Am I mad for thinking that next season Palace might finish in the top 4?
Yes.
I don't think I am. There's so much talent
In
there.
the top 4?
Mm.
What on earth brings you to that conclusion? God,
I
you're
don't
going to be a
particularly
little
think
bit
any
carried
of the.
away, I think.
I've got 3 of them. I think I know
Go on
who my
then.
top 3 are.
Yeah, but are those that top 3? If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, are they going to be at Crystal Palace next season?
So no, I've got my top 3: Arsenal,
Oh, right, sorry. Okay, yeah, I get you.
City, Liverpool, in that order. I don't particularly trust that any of the other teams, maybe Spurs, but I don't particularly trust that any of the other teams have got things together enough that I'm certain they could recruit as well as Palace can. They're going to lose Dougie Freedman, but Dougie Freedman will have already left the plan. But they're buying such good players. Like
Right,
that front five.
I will bet you £50 right now that Crystal Palace
On right, we're
do
on.
not
Yeah,
finish in the top
Palace
4.
top 4
Virtual handshake. £50 that Crystal
deal.
Palace don't
Oh God, we're
qualify
going to need a good year.
in the top. You're literally, you may as
I'm
well go
going for it now. I love
throw
them. I think they're a
£50
really
out
good
the
team.
window. There's not going to happen.
I reserve the right. This is all on the assumption that the team stays together.
No,
I'll
you
hold my
can't
bet.
throw
I'll
that
hold
in.
my bet, but I want people to know when we come back to it if Palace have
But
been
that team's not going
relegated.
to stay together. They will lose one of their big stars. At least one of their big stars goes this summer, 100%.
I don't know. I think they might have a swing in them. I think Glasner and that lot, they might take one swing. Oh God, what have I done?
I genuinely can't believe you just done that. You may as well just open that window behind you and throw £50 out of it.
I know.
Right, here's one from is that Swayze. It looks like, hi Charles and James. What 5 players from the first team squad do you think are likely to leave and Arsenal getting decent money from? Thanks. Right, Ramsdale.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, although as I said a couple of weeks ago when I was talking to you, I think on this that I don't think it's absolutely a foregone conclusion that he doesn't end up leaving on loan rather than being sold because of the market. I hope I'm wrong, because it would just be really annoying if you kind of had to kick it down the can for another season, another year. But so I'll say Ramsdale, ESR,
Mm-hmm.
Eddie,
Mm-hmm.
Reese, and
you can't pick Cedric or El Nene.
I'm going to say Zinchenko. I got sneaky feelings Zinchenko might well go. I'm just looking at who else is in the squad here. Yeah, they're the 5 that I will go for. I wouldn't be surprised if someone came in for Zinchenko. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go. What about you?
I think you're absolutely right on those first 4. I think they'll all go. Like you, Ramsdale sort of not generating the money Arsenal hope wouldn't shock me, but I would still say I'm 60-40 that he goes for a good fee permanently. I think Zinchenko's a really good shout. I think this would say it's between him or Partey. I think in the end, the thing we know about Arteta is he loves Zinchenko and the qualities he brings, and I'd not doubt, you basically. I feel like a market that's more tempting to do a deal for Partey would exist, because you're not particularly bothered about getting a great fee for him. Whereas I think for Zinchenko, Arsenal are not gonna
you'd want a good fee
take what they can get exactly. Whereas I think with Partey, Arsenal are going to be in a sort of take what we can get mood. So I would say Partey over Zinchenko, but I think it's a good shout, and it's certainly not unimaginable that he moves on.
Yeah, I'm just not sure there'll be a market for Partey, but we'll see. Dotty Dot now says, hi, Charles and James. If we don't win a trophy next season, do you see the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard looking for a move away? I know they're on long contracts, but as long as Pep is at City, they might, rightfully or wrongly, see their chances of winning a trophy at Arsenal as slim if we can't get over the line next season. It's obvious that Real, Bayern, Barca couldn't afford any of them. Man City would love to have these players. Would you be worried that some players might start to lose faith in our project if we hit 5 years without a trophy next season? For the record, I fully believe we are winning a massive trophy next season. Thanks for your question, Dotty Dot. I mean, I think it's a genuine concern. It will be a genuine concern. It just will happen. You look, those players that have been listed there. Saliba, Gabriel, Odegaard, Saka, even Martinelli. Clubs are going to be desperate to sign those players, especially someone like Saliba. You'd imagine it's just got Real Madrid written all over it, especially the team that they're building and the age of the players that they're building over there. So absolutely. But that's not to say that I think it will happen at all. And Arsenal are going to have to match all those players' ambitions. I think they are matching their ambitions at the moment. Arsenal are hugely ambitious now, aren't they? Absolutely. Arteta is hugely ambitious. Edu's hugely ambitious. The owners are showing that they are hugely ambitious and they are willing to back the project that's going on here. So, but it comes a point where you have to win trophies, don't you? You have to give the players the chance to lift the trophies that they want to end their careers having lifted. And so yeah, it is a concern. But like you, I think a big trophy is coming Arsenal's way in the near future. What do you think?
Same about the big trophy coming. I think it's going to come next season. It will be at least one of the big two. And if we run down that list, there are two teams there that can theoretically do the sort of deal that would make Arsenal sell: Real Madrid and Man City. Buying our superpowers, but I don't necessarily think they hold that much luster for players. And, let's be honest, Harry Kane went there because there wasn't that many options and he thought it was the easiest way to win a trophy. Of course, Real Madrid screams William Saliba. Manchester City, you can see doing it, although there's so much uncertainty over that project. Sort of feels like exactly. The only guarantee.
If Pep's not going to be there, and we don't know, but if he ends up going, then are City going to be quite as attractive as proposition in a couple of years' time as they are right now?
I think that I would say no, they wouldn't be anywhere near as attractive, and that's even before we even get into the 115 charges. I mean, with those 115 charges, if I'm this summer, if I'm a Saliba, if I'm someone at a top club mulling going to Man City, it would be pause for thought. I don't want to sort of be in maybe a position like Juventus were in 20 years ago, being a Nedved or a Ibrahimovic or Vieira, all those guys then. So I think what's more likely is that Arsenal sort of let a big name go. And at the time we're talking about it as how will Arsenal ever recover from the sale of their Felipe Coutinho? And it turns out to be quite a shrewd move. They can spend the money really well. That's always going to be the thing is if someone parks whatever it costs to get William Saliba out of Arsenal at Arsenal's door, I would trust them to spend that money incredibly well. So it's nothing to worry about.
No, I agree 100%. Van of Duty now says, have Arsenal explored a multi-club structure similar to what Chelsea and Man City have done, and would it be beneficial regarding loans with our younger players?
Do I have to answer that?
Yeah, you go for that one.
Have they? Not to my knowledge.
No, I don't. I certainly haven't.
Obviously, you do have the Colorado Rapids, and that
have
is a multi-club structure. It's really expensive to get into that business, and KSE's business is a multi-club structure across other sports, and they do exploit that. They exploit the learnings and the value that comes with an NBA franchise, an NFL franchise, whatever other sports franchises they have. I mean, like, is the Chelsea City thing that helpful?
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to.
It is if you're doing it brazenly like City do.
Arsenal used to do it. They were pretty much the pioneers of it under Arsene Wenger, and Steve Morrow came in and led that whole thing. But then it got scrapped, and I'd be surprised if they brought it back. I don't think multi-club ownership is going to get any more popular than it is now. I think, if anything, there's more and more spotlight being shed on it in terms of how some of the other clubs are treated in these multi-club ownerships. You look at City Group, obviously. Who have they got in France? City Group.
France.
And there's big protests there. They got relegated down to the third tier now, haven't they? There's
Chelsea.
Big protests there. Same with Strasbourg and Chelsea.
Girona might not be able to play in the Champions League because they're part of City Football Group.
It's just all sounds a bit complicated to me. I think the benefits don't outweigh the negatives of it. And like you said, I just can't see it really being something the Cronkies get worried too much about. And I've certainly not heard that Arsenal are planning for it.
No.
Okay, here's one from Cahill. Says, hi, Charles and James. Great show as always. I don't know why, but I don't think the league is over. And I know everyone has already crowned City, but I can't help but finish. They will finish second this season. So don't lose hope. We may party yet. And then moving on from that, looks like Ed. Oh, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. I'll just call you Ed.
Yeah.
Might be easier. If we don't win the league, what's your learning from our title charges? For me, it's that we need to somehow marry the last two campaigns, come flying out the blocks, but maintain the controlled defensive solidity in the final run. The only way we can do that, in my eyes, is rotation. Is it more important to raise the level of our squad players to a Trossard level than buying first team players? Yeah, I thought this was interesting. First of all, I love the positivity here of Cahill. I'm not sure I agree with it. I do have to admit I'm not expecting to come out of the Emirates on Sunday having watched us lift the trophy. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not expecting it to happen. And if it doesn't happen, what do you think the sort of learnings are from this season? I agree, absolutely. If you could marry the last two seasons together, it would be absolutely perfect. Arsenal would be sitting in now as Centurions and possibly above Manchester City's 100 club membership, which would be fantastic. But I do also think I look at what happened at the start of this season, on the first half of this season, anyway, as it was a different Arsenal team, wasn't it? It was a different system, different formation, different players coming in, sort of trying to learn and adapt. And I do think that definitely had an impact on what we saw from Arsenal in the first half of the season. And when everything was so settled in the second half of the season, and it just immediately proved. And I don't see there being as much disruption at the start of next season as there was this season. I don't think there'll be too much change. I think, Havertz will be adjusted. Rice will be absolutely adjusted. And Rice admitted earlier on he didn't know what was going on when he first arrived at Arsenal. He was all over the place in terms of what Arteta was thinking. So it's no surprise that performances were slightly different and results were slightly more inconsistent than they are now. So as long as things don't change massively in the summer, as long as Mikel doesn't decide to rip it all up and go again with a different system, I really see Arsenal having a much more settled first half to the season next season. What do you think?
I think that's the overwhelming takeaway. We've never really seen a sort of young Premier League title challenger, certainly in Arsenal's case, do some fairly significant surgery to their team that has just come out of nowhere to be title contenders. And it maybe suggests, if you look back at the very start of this season, that Arteta was not entirely sold on how real last season was. I don't see any reason to doubt that this season is real. And frankly, that Arsenal are sort of moving to a level that actually might not only be sort of level with Man City, but I think they're on one trajectory. And I wrote this after the Spurs game, that City might just be on another. Like, City may be entering their post prime, and I just think Arsenal do have room to grow. I really agree with Ed's point that you need a few more Trossard level players. One thing Pep Guardiola is brilliant at is running a small group of 16, 17 that all play the exact number of minutes. I think we forget that taking Partey and Timber out of the equation did really rob Arsenal of two of those players. And, you actually only need 6 or 7 of them around the first team to make all the difference. But when we've been talking for the last half hour about transfer targets, so much of what we're talking about is adding that 14th, 15th, 16th man for now, with one player to potentially upgrade the 11 as a midfielder who will slot in. He will define how Declan Rice plays for the next 3-4 years. He will define how Ødegaard, everyone else plays, but that may well be it. The sort of 11 is pretty much done. Maybe there'll be, in the years to come, maybe there'll be some changes at left back. But I think that almost my big learning from it is Arsenal are really a lot closer now than they were a year ago, which I know people don't like to hear when they feel like it's all being taken out of their hands and it's not quite, maybe it doesn't feel fair or whatever, but you also have to judge your team relative to the teams around you. And I feel like Arsenal are really, really on the right course, more than they were a year ago.
Yeah, they absolutely are. There's not even any question about that. I said that yesterday in my show after, everyone was feeling pretty dejected after what happened at Spurs. But, whatever happens on Sunday, this is the best Arsenal team since the Invincibles, without a shadow of a doubt. They are absolutely worthy champions. You know, if Arsenal win the title this season, they 100% have deserved it. You know, they in any normal era, this team would already be champions, and last season's team would already have been champions earlier on. Unfortunately, they're not in the normal era; they're in the Man City era, and we all know the sort of standards that you have to set now to win a title. But you're talking about one game in a 38-game season that's going to probably deny them the title at the end of it against this Manchester City team. You know, they are Arsenal have moved on into a different stratosphere over the last 3 years. You think back to just 3 years ago where Arsenal are the expectations we all had. And now look at what we're talking about and the expectations we've got. You know, that's whatever happens this season. It's been a fantastic season. It's been a record-breaking season. You know, if they win on Sunday, it's 28 wins out of 38 games in a Premier League season. They've taken 22 points out of a possible 30 against the so-called Big Six this season. You know, unbeaten against Liverpool, unbeaten against Manchester City, unbeaten against Chelsea, Spurs, Man United. You know, it's just they are a very, very good team. We are watching an absolutely superb Arsenal team that I think is just going to get better. So whatever happens, yes, it's going to be disappointing. Yes, you're going to look back at results and games that you could have got more from. Of course you are. Every team can do that at the end of the season. But my absolute overall take from it is that we've watched a very special Arsenal team, and we are watching a special Arsenal team, and we're going to continue watching one. So yeah, that's the take on it. Right.
But that Arteta should be sacked if Arsenal don't win the league, right?
Oh, absolutely. You want to get someone else to get someone new. That'll improve things. Right. Tuesday, you were there on Tuesday. Strange game. I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it, I have to admit. And then about 5 minutes before kickoff, I was like, no, I've got to watch it. I can't not. And to be fair, I thought Tottenham played well. I thought they did everything they could do apart from stick the ball in the net. I didn't think City were great. I think they were definitely feeling the pressure, kind of like Arsenal were against Manchester United a few days earlier. I mean, a weird game to watch. And what was it like, honestly, sort of being there? What was that experience like? I imagine it must have been really, really odd.
It was so peculiar in a fashion because it's a big game. It's a game with huge stakes for Tottenham. And yet I'd gone there kind of almost that Spurs fans would boo their players out, but that, you know, there would be more mumbling. And you come to the ground and you sort of realize that so much of what you've seen on social media is all just total nonsense. Of course, you know, there were a handful of fans that actually were more interested in Arsenal not winning the league than in Tottenham not getting top four. But you know what the rituals of match day are, and so many of our viewers do as well. You can't go to your team's ground and not want them to win, not want them to play good football. I think there was just this sort of conflict that was only sort of washed away when Bentancur or Son or whoever got in for a good opportunity. Actually, the one moment I would say was very weird was that, I mean, everything about the Son moment was weird because as it's happening, you're sort of thinking, if there's anyone in the Premier League that you would want in this position right now, it's Heung-min Son. He can do anything. Knock on the head any suggestion he didn't try to score. If you were trying to miss, you would put it wide, especially if you're as good as Son and you can put the ball where you want. I thought Ortega did really well to adjust his weight. But that was the one moment where it sort of dawned on Tottenham fans that it was like, okay, this might be the one scenario we dread where all we do is hand the league to Arsenal. And it wasn't like it was like like everyone was holding their breath. That aside, I thought for the most part it was a sort of faintly subdued. It was a bit like going to the Emirates when Arsenal were fighting for top four, and there was that view of like, yeah, but I don't know, I'm sick and tired of that sort of. I don't really want to fight for top four so that we can get into a competition that we don't really have any chance of winning, and it'll just be a slog, and it'll be the same old season again and again. And someone will say, well, you're getting to see AC Milan and Real Madrid, so you should be paying more on your season ticket. So I think we forget and I think Ange Postecoglou, frankly, forgets all that side of it when he's complaining about the fans and not having a mentality of winning every game. It was weird. It was depressing. I have a suspicion that the person sat next to me in the press box was an Arsenal fan as well, because there was this sort of slight crestfallenness in our corner when Son did blow that opportunity. But it's all the harder to take, I think, when Tottenham played quite excellently, and we're just undone by a City team that, like you say, were feeling the nerves and feeling the occasion as well.
I still can't believe you missed that. I had to take that picture off the screen. I can't look at it.
It's horrible.
I can't believe you missed it. I don't understand why he went for that corner. I just don't get it. It's like, I'm gonna have to bring it up again now. There's so much space. Just slot it past him. Just roll it into that bottom right hand corner, surely, or just take it round him. It was such a weak finish. You know, it wasn't even. Yeah, I know you said he set himself well, Ortega, but it wasn't a hard save to make. He didn't. It was just it was a really weak, poor finish from a player who normally, you know, is just an XG monster. He just tucks those away. Honestly, time froze when he went through. I just, you know, when you just see it happening and you're just like, oh my god, this is it. This is actually it. And yeah.
That's why you feel like on Sunday that there's no hope, because that was the moment.
This was the moment.
It's the Michael Thomas moment.
Yeah,
frankly, except it would have been even funnier. Well, it would be funnier rather than, you know.
Well, it's the Liverpool Denver Bar. It's the Denver Bar moment for Liverpool, isn't it? I mean, it's the exact same chance, but he sticks it through the legs of the goalkeeper, and Son, you know, puts it at the leg of the goalkeeper instead. And I just don't get why he hasn't gone for that bottom right hand corner. It's so there for him to do it, but yeah, that's obviously left Arsenal in a very difficult position when it comes to winning the title. We all know the permutations. If Man City win, there's nothing Arsenal can do. But then if they drop points and Arsenal win, then Arsenal are champions. 2 points in it. Goal difference doesn't matter from an Arsenal point of view. Obviously, it matters from Man City point of view now.
Half a relief.
Because it is. That was the only takeaway from that game on Tuesday night. Was like, well, at least we're not going to have to endure a day where suddenly we hear Man City have scored 4 goals in 10 minutes and are going to win the game on goal difference. That can't happen now. So if anyone's going to win the league on goal difference, it's going to be Arsenal. So yeah, but I mean, do you hold out any hope?
At the stats here, West Ham have lost 15 of their 17 Premier League away games against Man City at the Etihad, and they haven't picked up a point in 9 years. Man City had won the final league game of each of Pep Guardiola's first 6 seasons in charge until the Brentford season. West Ham have lost their final league game in each of the last 2 seasons. So all I have is a sort of vague sense that maybe David Moyes and the West Ham squad David Moyes wants to do it for Mikel Arteta and to go out on a high. And the West Ham squad, someone somewhere says, just do it for Declan, because they'd all love Declan. That's all I've got. All I've got is hope.
That's not much to go on. I think
I've got tomorrow. I have to write a piece about how West Ham can get a point there. And I was looking at what Guardiola said as well, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just set pieces and crosses and balls into the channel." And you're like, "Oh my god, is this what Arsenal are relying on? Like Thomas Souček being a bit taller than everyone else." It's really
we need another day like for West Ham to enjoy like they did at the Emirates over Christmas, don't we? When Man City have 30 shots and don't score, and West Ham score 1 from a ball that was possibly over the line that VAR doesn't give, and then score a set piece. Something like that needs to happen. And it's not impossible, but it is very, very unlikely, obviously. I saw I think it was Opta analysts. They did their win percentages for it, and they had Arsenal's chances of winning the league at 18%, which I thought was remarkably high from it. I don't quite get that. I mean, City they just have to have one of those days where they cannot score, basically, because they're, you know, if even imagine it's still 0-0 a half an hour to go, the absolute Alamo that will be coming West Ham's way, it will just be non-stop. Get to the byline, cut back, shot after shot after shot after shot. So they will finish the game with 30 odd shots, Man City, if they need to, and it would have to be one of those days where the ball just does not go in for it to happen.
I'm going to have the iPad with me in the press box, and I think my big thing is I just want to know, like within 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'd rather it be over early, I think, than to have that hope and have it taken away in the last sort of 10 minutes. You know, I mean, one thing I suppose to hold on to, and I mentioned this earlier on a show this week, that the 2 sort of really famous final day wins for Man City, the QPR and the Aston Villa games, in both those games, the pressure obviously got to them and they managed to find themselves behind. Against QPR, they were 2-1 down in injury time against a relegation threatened QPR at home that no one gave them a hope. It was going to be supposed to be a breeze for Man City that day. And then the Aston Villa game as well. Suddenly they're 2-0 down with 20 minutes to go at home.
The one thing to add, though, what Arsenal will sort of, it's easy to feel like Arsenal can't do anything. If they can go 2-0 up in 15 minutes before City have scored, and I know they can't know that, but if they just fly out the blocks and sort of establish from that 15th minute and word gets to the Etihad that it's like, right, Arsenal have won here, that can get in City. We know, everyone will say otherwise. We know it gets to the players, the word gets to the players, and it gets to the crowd. So, that's what you've got to do if you're Arsenal. You do your job quickly and hope that it's like you love it. I know you love the Masters and all that. Can you do some scoreboard pressure, being the clubhouse leader, that sort of feeling? That could get to City.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right in that. The players were training yesterday at the Emirates ahead of it. Mikel likes to do that before big games. Team selection wise, can you see him making any sort of changes? I mean, they weren't great against Manchester United, like City. I thought they were playing under pressure, and they were far from their best against United. They didn't need to be at their best against United, to be honest. There was no changes. Again, it was an unchanged team. I don't see him making any changes to this one. I didn't think Partey played well against United. I didn't think Rice played particularly well against United, Odegaard. But he's not. I just don't see he's going to change any of those, barring any sort of injuries. We don't know. Obviously, there was no Saka in the training pitches yesterday, but that doesn't mean he's not going to play. Obviously, that's just what Arsenal and Arteta do when there's any sort of injury doubt over a player. He did limp off against United, but I would expect Saka to start. So, yeah, barring any injuries, same 11?
Same 11, I think. I do worry a tad about Partey against. I think Everton will come quite hard at this game. I just don't think Sean Dyche is the sort to let them off. And I do think the sort of big bodies like Doucouré or Onana or Calvert-Lewin coming at Partey, it's not that he lacks the physicality, but he just doesn't have a Jorginho level composure. I thought he improved a lot as the game at Old Trafford wore on. But I would start Jorginho. I don't think Arteta will take that approach. I think he'll trust in that 11 and sort of challenge them, like I say, to do a better performance, get this game won quickly, and see if that gets in City heads. By the way, do you know the last team to come from second place to win the league on the final day?
Arsenal, 1989. Mickey Thomas.
It can be done.
It can be done. I mean, that was impossible. Task. I mean, that was impossible compared to going to Anfield and winning by 2 goals on the final day of the season. What's coming this weekend is entirely possible because, believe me, back then, winning at Anfield by 2 goals, that was just no one gave Arsenal a chance in hell, and they managed to do it.
At least it's within your control. It's the one thing you would say.
Yeah, so it was still there. I suppose that was still in both teams' hands, wasn't it? Arsenal knew what they had to do. Liverpool knew what they had to do. This time, Arsenal can do nothing if Man City go and steamroller West Ham, which you would imagine they are probably going to do. I'm just going to enjoy myself on Sunday anyway. I'm not in the press box. I'm in the fans, in my seat with my dad, and I'm just going to enjoy myself. It's been such a brilliant season. I've loved it just like I loved last season. It's going to be really disappointing and hard to take to end it after 9 long months without anything, because I honestly feel like Arsenal deserve to win the league this season, and it is going to be a blow, but not to do it. But I still want to go and just enjoy Sunday and give the players the sort of send off they deserve. And I'm already looking forward to next season. So just before we go, quick thoughts on it. Now you've seen it on the players, what do you reckon?
No, yeah. Everything looks, the sizing's all wrong, don't you think? Things look like some things are too big, some things are too small. Don't like the blue.
No, I'm not a fan. I have to say it's not one of my favourites. But I didn't like any of this season's kits either, and I don't like any.
You know what's grown on the fan base?
The away one.
Grown on you as well. The away kit.
We've won pretty much every single game. I still don't understand why we didn't wear it for Bayern Munich away. I'll never get that decision to wear the green kit
stupid
for it.
Champions League stuff, isn't it? Oh, we can also say this: they won't be wearing that on Sunday.
Yes, they won't be wearing that on Sunday. That is a fact. Yes. It will be this season's kit on Sunday, so that's what they'll be lifting the Premier League trophy in.
Gold. That's not got the sufficient gold for a champion, has it?
It's going to be, they got this. The trophy's going to be there. The medals are going to be there. All the podium stuff's going to be there. I've spoken about this before. I remember in '99 when I was at Highbury for that last day, when United had Tottenham. It's always Tottenham, honestly, and they won. And when I was leaving Highbury that day, between the North Bank and the West Stand, you saw the podium in pieces just on the floor, because obviously they didn't need to come and set it up on the pitch because they hadn't won the title. And it was such a depressing sight seeing that. And for the players, I really hope that the Premier League or whoever's got the trophy and the medals keeps them as far away from the changing rooms and stuff, so that at the end of the day, because the players don't deserve to have to walk past and see all that sort
But
of
they
stuff.
probably can't, can they? I'm just thinking sort of.
I think you'll probably know, unless it goes down to the very last minute. They'll probably, you'll know where it's going, and so you would think
somewhere in the car park, won't
keep them in the car park in a lock-up van or something that they've got in there, and keep it away from the players, because they don't need to be seeing what might have been. To be honest, right, that's it. Thank you, mate. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy Sunday. I'll give you a wave as always across the thing. If hopefully.
Well, who knows how close you might get?
I really hope you bring Mikel Arteta comes into a press conference and puts that trophy down right next to him on Sunday at about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. What a fantastic moment that will be.
If he's putting the trophy down, it's sort of 7:30 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it'll be pretty late when that will certainly be a late one on Sunday. So yeah, have a good one, mate. Enjoy it. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining and for watching and for listening, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow with my usual show. Hopefully alongside Sam Dean. Actually, he's going to talk us through his Benjamin Sesko story. So providing anything doesn't change in terms of that front, that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. So you've got any questions for Sam, let me know in the comments below. Have a good one, James, mate. Enjoy Sunday. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. Speak to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.